Hi, everybody. So everybody's been asking, Roberto, Tanya, where the hell did you guys go? It's already been it's been 2 weeks since I sent the last video when I was coming from Andorra over here. And so I wanted to give you a little more in-depth explanation as to how we ended up here, what our plans are, and what's going on with our world tour. So, and also I wanted to let people know how I'm going to be posting these things online. So this kind of video that's like a few minutes long, 5 minutes, 10 minutes explaining things, is probably going to be on YouTube, and I'm going to then post that in our Facebook group. Cool pictures are going to be on Instagram, but if you follow me on Instagram, you also get like in time thoughts, like something that's happening in the moment that I get that there's no editing and things like that, but you can follow what's going on. And then everything goes on Facebook. So in the group, so we're not bothering everybody with the line. So this is how we got here. The original plan when we left the US is go to Africa, and in the continent explore all the different countries, right? So we were going to start in Tanzania. We went to visit Tim and we did safari there, Arusha, from there Pemba, Zanzibar, and explore that part of Africa. Then we'd go and explore the rest of the continent in different countries. So one of the places we really wanted to visit was Cape Town, which we fell in love with. It's such a beautiful city. We shared some of the videos of how beautiful the mountains are and the sea and the people and the infrastructure. It's just really, really amazing, some interesting stories that happened over there. And from there we went to visit one of Tanya's friend. We did Zambia, Zimbabwe, Botswana. Had an amazing experience. It's a really like adventurous place, very unique. That's where I made $10 trillion of Zimbabwean dollars on the street. And then back to Cape Town to then continue on to Europe. That was the plan, right? So after Cape Town, I was going to go on a 1-week trip with my childhood friends from Brazil, and we were going to go skiing in Andorra, which is right between Spain and France. Meanwhile, Tanya was going to get babushka, her grandma, and go on a really, really nice cruise through a variety of countries, learning, very fascinating historic countries. And that was the plan. So 2 to 3 weeks prior to us leaving, the virus was starting to take its hold. We didn't really give it the gravity at the time that we should have. We were just like, oh, this is just a normal thing. It's spreading, whatever. And we were even debating, should Tanya go with her 82-year-old grandma on a cruise? Now thinking back, you're like, oh my God, what the hell are we thinking? But at the time, it seemed like something even to ponder about. We wisely chose against it, so she didn't go on that cruise, and so she just stayed in Cape Town while I went to Spain, because there's, at the time, no problem in Spain. So I go on a 1-week trip with my friends, which was amazing. I'm going to post some of the snowboarding video. I did share some of the snowboarding videos, and just hanging out with your childhood friends for a week was awesome. But when we got there, it was nothing, and by the last day, the thing had already took over Spain, that they shut down a bunch of cities. They basically declared a state of an emergency in Spain. So we actually had to leave Andorra first, to make sure they didn't close the borders, because I had to fly out of Spain. And then I started discussing with Tanya, what do we do? Do we fly back to Africa? And obviously, you don't want to be flying, right? You don't want to be contracting the disease, not necessarily because of your own risk, because we're in a low risk group in terms of potentially what could happen. But the moment you get this, you become a carrier. If you're a carrier and you pass this on, you could potentially be responsible for the death of somebody, because some older person is going to get this down the line because you passed it on. And so you have to play your role and have your responsibility. And we were like, so we didn't want to fly, but we were in separate continents, completely different parts. So one of us had to fly. And then we were thinking a little longer terms, like, what are we going to do if we're in a place that doesn't have the infrastructure, doesn't have the resources? And considering what was happening in Spain, that they were shutting down borders, we're like, we're going to be stuck in a place, and we don't want to be stuck in a place that just wouldn't be able to handle it. So as usual, Tanya just went down with her spreadsheets and reading everything about what was going on. And many countries in Asia, because they've been through so many of these pandemics prior, SARS, MERS, swine flu, and a myriad of others, and they really had it very serious, they've developed protocol to handle this in a much better process, right? And so we decided not to go to, because we were going to go to Montenegro, or we were considering isolating ourselves in some country in Africa, maybe Madagascar, or wherever we were going to go. And Asia already had a ton of COVID, right? So we were like, well, I don't know about that. But when we researched deeply, the protocols for handling the disease were way more advanced in Asia. So we were like, okay, what are the top countries that are handling this the best? And from our research were Hong Kong, Singapore, and Taiwan. Those were the best places that were really handling the disease really well. So we're like, well, let's go over there. We discarded Hong Kong because of the whole political turmoil that was going on in China at the time, which now kind of disappeared because nobody's on the streets. But at the time, there's still some turmoil. And so we were between Singapore and Taiwan. And I've always heard a lot about Singapore because they've managed, I mean, it's such a fascinating country, and we still want to go there. But that was my top pick just because of the political infrastructure, the Freedom Index, how they've developed economically. I just wanted to see it. You know, it's a very modern country. So we were going to go to Singapore, but they shut their borders. And we're like, oh my God, we're not going to go there. So let's go to Taiwan. But now we started making plans B, C, D, and E because we're like, where the hell are we going to go, right? Because what if Taiwan closes border and then another and another? So the only place we'd be able to fly back to is the US, but we don't want to be flying around. So we packed our bags immediately, flew to Taiwan, and then we were going to meet at the airport and take it from there. So we did that, you know, with all the precautions, trying to be as careful as possible, washing hands, masks, and everything. We got to Taiwan, and that's how we ended up here. Now, Taiwan warned us, say, if you come to Taiwan, you're going to have to be quarantined for 14 days. You have to be 2 weeks indoors, and you will not be able to leave. You understand that? We're like, sure. So we signed everything. And let me tell you, this country is so fascinating. I mean, even though we haven't left the apartment, the relationship we've had with the people and the government and everything and how they treat us has just been so awesome. They're so friendly. They've been so accommodating, so hospitable. Just getting at the airport, how everyone was so helpful. People in line and were just helping me fill out the forms and explaining how everything worked. The lady who got us who accepted us for the Airbnb to do the quarantine, she was tremendously friendly. They left food for us outside of the door. We thought it was so kind. Because my phone is international, some people couldn't call us. So the Taiwanese person who's supposed to see that we're actually being quarantined brought us a phone so we could have a phone here so they could communicate with us. And so they're tremendously friendly, but at the same time, extremely strict, because if I walk outside when I'm supposed to be in a quarantine, the fine starts at $3,500, goes all the way to $30,000, right? So you don't want to be caught walking in the streets. And they've even had some tourists that came here and broke the quarantine, have the fines, and wanted to leave the country, and they hold you in the country like, dude, you're going to pay the fine, right? So we weren't planning on breaking the quarantine anyway, but just to show how strict they were, but at the same time, extremely friendly. You know, when they would call us to check up on us, they would say, hey, if you have any problems, you have a fever, we have a way to take care of you. We have, we have the beds and the medicine and everything. If you ever have any problems, they were always concerned, making sure that Tanya was okay. And so now, after these 14 days of checking in, making sure everything's in, we're finally going to leave the apartment for the first time. So I've been here for 2 weeks. I don't even know anything about this neighborhood. I'm looking forward to just going grocery shopping. One of the things that's fairly unique also about our stay is how we've been dealing with the time zone. So Taiwan is exactly on the other side of the planet from Miami, right? So if it's noon there, it's midnight here. So you just switch the AM for the PM, and that's what it is. And we've been living indoors, and I'm still working Miami time, right? I speak to clients and customers all the time over there. So typically I want to be up during Miami business hours. So while we were in the apartment, I was waking up same time as I would be in Miami and sleeping the rest because we're indoors anyway. It doesn't make a difference. But after a few days of doing that, we had no idea if it's night or day or where we are, or if it's, 2 days ago, woke up, it was 6, it says 6, and I look out the window and there's light, and I was like, man, is it 6 a.m. or 6 p.m.? And I had no idea, and this has just completely been craziness in terms of handling the time zone. So what we're going to do moving forward is go to bed around 3 a.m., which is 3 p.m. Miami time, so you can have most of the business day, and then wake up at 10 a.m., and still be able to explore during the day and then just work in the later part of the night. So that's the schedule we're going to be trying it out. Let's see how it goes. The food. Let me tell you, we've only ordered takeout, but not one single time that we ordered takeout, not one was the food bad. Every single time, tasty, delicious. The meat here is a takeout meat. Takeout. Like in Miami, we had to really work through a lot of places to get our top places that we really love and so forth. But here, every single time we ordered, we were so happy with the food, and so that was a really good treat. And I'm really looking forward to actually going in person and having them cook for us at the restaurant.
The peanut butter burger.
So as we were going through the menu, we were looking, and they do have some very exotic foods like gizzards with blood and just like stuff that I haven't tried. I will try everything because, you know, it's part of the adventure. But as we're looking through the menu, one thing we started noticing is that they have burgers with a very interesting ingredient: peanut butter. I mean, burger with peanut butter. So I was like, oh, I gotta try that. I went to skip over it. And eventually I was like, dude, we're in Taiwan and we want to experience Taiwanese things, and everybody sells burgers with peanut butter in it. Let's try it, right? So Tanya's like, I'm just gonna have the regular one. I ordered the peanut butter burger, and let me tell you, it blew my mind. I'm thinking we need to take this back to the US. The US is the country of peanut butter and the country of hamburgers. How could they not have peanut butter burgers? It was absolutely delicious. So if you're ordering a burger, put some peanut butter on it. Let me tell you, you're not gonna regret it. And so that's the update of where we were, why we chose to come here. And now I believe we're going to be in Taiwan for a few months because there's so much to explore. I'm going to do a video on Taiwan itself, some of the cool things about the culture, about the places that we plan to visit and why we picked those places, and some funny stories that have already happened and some things that we've observed about how these people operate. So stay tuned. This is the happy day out of quarantine. Finally, we're still going to be very careful. Masks, washing hands, gloves. We're not going to interact, but now at least we can walk outside for a bit. Talk to you soon.